Randy, who's your favorite Beatle?
McCartney.
Cart.
Wasn't he a Beatle?
I'm thinking like no, rhinoceros, stag.
You're above my head there.
It's time for the Bookie and The Bettor Show. If you're a sports fan, now it's time to play the odds and make every bet count. New episodes post every Thursday on your favorite streaming service. Now introducing Rob Kowalski, the Bookie, and Randy White, the Bettor.
Welcome back to the Bookie and Bettor Show. I'm your host, Robert Kowalski. Once again, I'm joined by my favorite altar host.
I'm Randy White, and you know, what a week last week. I mean, if you bet the unders last week, you probably came out ahead. It was an odd weekend. The two best teams in the NFL go down. What else can you say?
I could probably say this first off to begin. Thanks so much for taking the helm while I was away. Of course, I want to thank our colleague, Nick Schulte, for joining on in and picking up some of the slack here and continuing our analysis that we offer here every single week. Can find us, of course, where? The Book at Baldini's. And so, of course...
Well, you know, Rob, here's the big thing, though, from Nick last week. Mm-hmm. One of the big questions that was asked of me is, do you think the 49ers are going to go unbeaten? And my answer to him was that the Miami Dolphin days are over. Having that added week now, the 17th week, guys being bigger, stronger. And let's face it, the players are making so much money. They're just like college kids. They're going to have letdowns. Yeah. And unfortunately now in any sport at the professional level, it's tough to be at 100% every single week.
So what you're saying is that we can go ahead and call Nick the Baldini's version of the cooler?
I know he cried Sunday afternoon after that Browns beatdown. And again, it wasn't just a loss. You got to remember, the Browns through the first 6 weeks are only compared to the 1971 Baltimore Colts. Better than the Chicago Bears great teams or the Ray Lewis Ravens teams. This team has a defense.
Yeah, I was going to... First off, I was going to mention that the Miami Dolphins and that whole champagne popping, just get over yourself. All right, just enough. I get it. Yeah, no one's going undefeated. Just please.
I just wish I could have talked to Don Shula last week to see what he thought.
All right, to review, as we were looking at it, of course, last week, so many favorites continue to cover. When they're favorite, not only are they favorite for a reason, but they end up winning. So how do we look at after Monday night's game of Dallas and the Chargers? They improved to 60-31 straight up on the season with 2 pick'ems. So we're basically looking at 47, 39, and 5 against the spread. Home teams, really doesn't matter much. So everyone that says it's a 3-point home field advantage, you could throw that out the window as well. They're only 46-44 straight up. Really, what we're calling out to right now, Ryan, this doesn't make any sense at all. Unders have improved to 56-36, and the one push, that's 60.3% against that particular spread. Primetime unders, 15-6 to the under. That, Randy, I don't think we've seen a number like this with so many unders falling in like the entire salary cap era.
Well, and you look, and again, I believe that this is the main part of it. You got 18 major injuries, which they're from the skill position, a lot of them quarterbacks, right, that I think contributed to these lower point totals last week. I mean, you got your second and third string quarterbacks going up against a first string defense. It's like an exhibition game.
Yeah, it is.
So I think that had a major part. And again, I think if you look at the teams that were on the road last week, they looked out of place. They weren't, I don't know, again, back to the point of not being ready to play. If you look at the road teams last week, I'm thinking, even the ones that won, it wasn't.
No one really was convincing.
No. So it'll be, you look at week 6 and 7 in the NFL for previous years, it's movement week. You see teams start to climb, jump over teams. This week is really interesting, back to your point, because you've got a ton of 2 to 4 point games. So you don't have those 8, 9, 10 point spreads, but only in really a couple of games this week. So it'll be interesting.
Why don't we go ahead and just jump right on in? There's a couple of games I really wanted to focus on and to talk about with our audience. Of course, the main event, one that's already been focused in on, and go ahead and thank the schedule makers for this one. It's the final game on Sunday when Miami visits the Philadelphia Eagles. Randy, we opened this one up about 2. Yeah, it's probably Philadelphia 2. It's up to 2.5 with a total way up, 51. Talking about totals being way down. This is one of the highest, but then again, look at this matchup here, Randy. The Eagles 2.5, quite possibly shading their way up to a 3-point favorite. Which way are you leaning here?
Well, I did a little computer thing. I have a little computer program with my brother-in-law. I have the Eagles winning this game 41-31. I have 72 points. If you look at the team, and again, going back to the Dolphins-Bills game, Eagles have a great defense. They do have a great defense. They have given up quite a few points recently, but I really believe in this big game and being at home, I think you're going to see the Eagles, again, score their 40 points, 35 to 40 points, but I think they'll put a damper on the Dolphins.
From an injury perspective, of course, what I wanted to do is just focus on what's actually happening in this matchup. And the latest, of course, things that just can't seem to ever go away. A hamstring injury came across a Devonta Smith. His, of course, status right now does seem likely. It wasn't nearly the injury that we've seen, for example, to like Jefferson. Didn't practice on Wednesday. Unclear when that injury kind of developed, but it's kind of concerning. So I would probably think if he does end up playing, maybe the limited number of snaps, we're probably not going to see as many targets towards him because, how could he get explosiveness coming off of the line when your hamstring's not even 100%? So one thing to look at there. I don't know, actually, Randy, if we take a look at the matchup unto itself, Miami obviously is just there. Clearly, I have a feeling that the winner of this game is going to have to come close to 28, 30 points.
Yeah, like I said, I have 72. Dolphins are the fastest team on grass, fastest team on turf. They're scary when those guys get in the open field. You're not bringing them down one-on-one.
We did talk about the from that, without a doubt. It's actually been proven, and we could actually look at the tape, and you could see that the players that are on in Miami, they're playing a different kind of a football game. They are like track stars first almost, and then football players next. But Randy, can we come back to this computer? You said you have a computer, like a whole algorithm that you built together?
Yeah, my brother-in-law, it's his program, but I look at it, and it does a great job with totals, very good with totals. And it'll give you kind of a synopsis of what they see based on last season's games at home or on the road, as well as grass or turf. Now, again, most of the NFL teams are playing on natural grass, but it is interesting, and the totals are very good. That's why I say 72, I think, is a reasonable total, but I do think you're going to see the Eagles with the more points in the game. I have a belief special teams is going to play a key factor in this game. We'll see if I'm right.
You did say based on. I thought you said basic, as if you were typing into
based
Commodore
on previous,
VIC-20.
No, based on previous. This is my gospel book. That's what I use.
Chargers and Chiefs is next up, Randy. And so this game opened up, regardless of how injuries started to come out. We opened this one up, and it's been a pretty steady number. Kansas City, 5.5 at home. The total's 48, Randy.
Well, here's another one of those questions. We talk about the top two teams losing last week. Obviously, the Chiefs are in everybody's top 5. Now, with the exception of the Detroit Lions, because the Cowboys were once in that top 5. What is the problem with these teams? Patrick Mahomes is not the same quarterback right now that he was last year, for whatever reason. Is he trying to do too much on his own? Or, again, injuries? Or are teams now getting a flare of what he can do, and they have defensive schemes that are challenging him. And you look at last week. I can't remember, and of course Mahomes is great with the underneath
the side
flick.
arms.
Yeah, but he's thrown from his back foot. So you see a lot of balls that are not getting there or are floating on him. That's not Patrick Mahomes, and I don't believe he's hurt. The problem with this week, Rob, again, when you look at the AFC West or even the NFC East, when you get these interdivisional games, 5.5 points, even with the Chiefs at home, scares me with as bad as the Chargers really were this last week. It scares me.
Yeah, definitely going to be an assist for the Chargers with a 100% Eckler. He is 100%. It's just kind of funny that you're completely dissecting and ripping apart a team, the Chiefs, that's 5-1 on the season.
And that's my point. But the teams that are 5-1, they have weaknesses.
So frauds.
Yeah. Now, as a betting man, when these teams are at home, you're going to go with them. On the road, to me, is a little different. But again, an interdivisional game, and it's kind of like Pittsburgh and Baltimore, too, a couple of weeks ago. Okay, Baltimore's clearly the better team. But when those teams play, and especially in Pitt, the outcomes are different.
That they are.
And this is another one that scares me. And again, we don't know how bad Herbert's hurt. And now, like you say, Eckler's going to be, I hope, tentatively 100%. And they have some talent. Chargers have some talent at the skill positions. And let's face it, when you have a Bosa and a Khalil Mack on defense, you would think you have a formidable stop against the run and a good rush, right?
Yeah, that they'll need it because, I mean, Bosa and Mack both will have to take a look at once again, and I guess you can go home again. Mecole Hardman Jr., welcome back to Kansas City. As a few days ago, he was just traded on back to the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm sure that picking up that playbook is probably not going to be too difficult. Probably end up getting a good number of snaps because, after all, he did have quite a bit of success on Kansas City when he was a Chief.
Now, my little computer game that I was talking about earlier,
Of course.
I have the Chiefs 27-21. So it's weird. It's right on the number, basically.
So, computer says cover, but your heart says no.
I just think these games are field goal games. It's like the Raiders against the Broncos.
Okay. I understand.
I don't care how good they are one year to the next. It's always a field goal game. This is another one of those games.
Let's move on to another interdivision game, this one in the NFC East. Buffalo is playing at the New England Patriots. New England, 1-5 on a 6-game ledger. Buffalo 4-2. Randy, we opened up Buffalo as a 9-point favorite. The 9-point favorite, the total 40. Got bet down all the way down to 8. As we're taking a look at far more injuries here. Once again, we know what's happening over in New England. Ramondre Stevenson looks like he probably will play. I'm definitely going to count on him not being 100%. Ankle injury is not going to give him that ability to do so. Buffalo, really, that's the one that we want to talk about more. Josh Allen taking that hit. I'm really not so much concerned about the concussion possibilities, but an AC joint, that's what I'm kind of concerned about.
And again, he's held out of practice the last couple of days. But that Don Meredith song comes to mind for this game and for Mr. Bill Belichick. Turn out the lights, the party's over. This team, okay, they don't deserve to be on an NFL field. Right now, they can't score. Last week, watching the Raiders and the Patriots, I took 3 naps and didn't see any points scored. This team is in dire straits right now. And as hurt as Josh may be, now there's a little feuding still going on with Mr. Diggs and him. Again, Diggs not getting enough touches, targets. I think the Bills win this 48-7.
That means that's a cover.
That's a cover.
You know, at 1-5, a lot of the NFL teams, you know, there's good 1-5s and there's bad 1-5s, and I think New England falls into the latter right now.
Well, again, I took 3 naps last week in that Raider game and didn't miss a point.
Mac Jones, will he be wearing a Patriots jersey next year?
No.
Okay.
And again, I think, and here's another one where I look at this Patriots team, and again, post the GOAT, Mr. Brady, they don't have an offensive scheme that really benefits the person they have quarterbacking. I just heard this morning on one of the Fox Sports shows about what would happen if he was overplaying for, and I say that Patriot quarterback, that ex-Alabama boy, if he was playing for Shanahan with the 49ers, will you get the same outcome? No. I think this team with the style of offense they're running, I don't know if Mr. O'Brien knows what he's doing. He wasn't a good head coach, and I think he's even worse as an offensive coordinator. And Belichick wasn't much better. This team needs a lot of help, and they don't have the big skill position guys. Again, Jacoby Myers, the Patriots traded him.
Mm-hmm.
He was the only guy that had breakaway speed last year that really separated himself from some of the defenses. Now the Raiders have him.
Yeah.
This team's in trouble.
I completely have to agree with you there. It's one of those teams that, if we ever wanted to figure out just how long of a leash a Hall of Fame coach has, it's exactly 2.5 seasons and a 1-5 record right afterwards.
Turn out the lights, the party's over.
Moving on to yet one more division matchup, and since we're using this as our theme for this week number 7, Washington, the Commanders at the New York Giants. This is a game where New York, again, looking like they're probably not going to have the quarterback needs that they're going to have. It's probably not going to be Jones at quarterback. It'll be Tyrod Taylor again. Because of that, even though they are at home, Washington, a 2.5, probably closer. It's probably going to close to 3 as a point favorite with a total of very, very low, Randy, 37.5.
Well, can the Giants recruit? Is Caleb Williams going to be on a recruiting trip to the Giant game this week? Because obviously he will probably be the quarterback there next year if they continue the same trend. The thing that's disappointing about the Commanders, last year, offensively, I thought they were behind the ball a little bit. But that defense was nasty.
Right.
This year, Hal's doing great, and the defense is a little sketchy. So what team shows up? And again, this is another one of those interdivisional battles where you get 2 teams from the AFC East. And again, even though the Giants are at home, banged up, I love their coach. I like the Commanders here. And Barkley, I think, is banged up this week
Well,
again.
when you come back from, let's just look at from an explosive position like running back or wide receiver that you need real movement. When you have a high ankle, this is a 4 to 6 week injury. When you start to hit the playing field, I think the way I read it was high ankle sprains go first week back, you're at 80%, then it's 90%, and then by the 4th week, you're at 100%. So you saw Barkley's explosiveness through the hole against Buffalo. He picked up some really nice chunk yards right into linebacker core and even the secondary. Mm-hmm. So that's him at 80%. So now he's to 90% against the Washington front 4. I think that's going to be the key to the game for the New York Giants. Look, I'm not counting on Daniel Jones playing at all. And honestly, I really don't think it's his fault. He's really had no help at all. And Tyrod Taylor's not going to have much help because that offensive line, Randy,
offensive line is horrid.
It's really bad.
None of them are from University of Nevada, though, right? That offensive line? Because this offensive line, they can't even look in the mirror right now without getting scared.
No, they can't. Absolutely not. Let's go ahead and take a look at just a couple more games here, Randy. I wanted to go ahead and take a look at another matchup here that I find really intriguing. The Detroit Lions and the Baltimore Ravens here to wrap things up. Baltimore at home, 4-2, playing Detroit. The Lions are 5-1 on the young season. Baltimore, a 3-point favorite coming back to their home soil. Total is 43. Randy, break this down.
Well, this is the game, I think, of the week. This is, you look at the Dolphin Eagles, which definitely has the marquee value.
Sure.
This Lion team is exciting. I love the coach. Jared Goff's playing out of his mind.
Yeah, he is.
And now I'm not sure about the status with David Montgomery this week. And I know Jahmyr Gibbs is also banged up. But this is the week you're going to see how good Detroit is, or maybe not quite there yet. They went on the road in Baltimore. This team's for real, and look out. They're going to be nabbing one of those playoff spots. It's a question, will the Ravens really come true to form? Because, again, Lamar's trying to do everything himself. That offensive side of the ball needs somebody to step up. The rushing attack is scary without him. So they need to step up this week. And that's why I say if the Lions win, watch out.
No,
but I think Ravens will prevail at home.
A thing that we talked about, of course, you mentioned the injury status and the health of David Montgomery. Obviously, you saw in week number 6, suffered rib cartilage injury after landing on the ball on a run in the second quarter. So there's going to be a significant chance that he's going to miss time if he does play. I actually don't think that he's going to play. So we're going to be looking at quite a bit of Jahmyr Gibbs, who I'm pretty confident he is going to play. Injured his hamstring, but it's been a lot of weeks. So he's probably going to be the one that's going to get the lion's share of the offensive snaps from running back. Montgomery's had an incredible season, after toiling away in Chicago. So, but with the way this offense is right now, I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit continued to keep chugging out 28, 30 points a game.
And that's where I was going to go next. You got to believe Detroit's going to score 24 to 28 points, don't you?
Yep.
So now you've got the proposed total that they're all throwing out there of 43, 44 points. So now you're saying, okay, if that's the case and you are on the Lions for 24 to 28 points, now you're back to the Ravens at 17 to 20. Mm-hmm. So you have the Lions winning this game based on that total. Because I really do believe the Lions offense, and as good as Jared Goff has been, he'll spray the ball around and watch out.
Well, I am putting out
but
the number.
I think
that is my number.
I
43.
know. Well, yeah.
I put that out.
But
that's what the
I'm
show's
just
all about.
saying, this is a week you're going to find out if they're for real. So does Lamar Jackson and that offense step it up? If not, Lions win this game. But I think the Ravens will be. I think it's going to be a great game. I think it'll be a field goal game.
Well, speaking of field goals, I think that if Baltimore intends to win this game, they're going to have to not settle for field goals. You may want to go for it on some of those fourth and fives, fourth and fours instead of settling, because I don't think that kicking field goals is going to end up winning this game, especially against a very potent offense on the Detroit Lions.
Well, and talking about naps again, you got the Raiders and the Bears this week. I might get 3 naps in during that game.
I don't want to really talk about. I mean, look, if you're going to watch it, great, enjoy it. If it's your club, awesome, enjoy it. Going to get to know that bench pretty well, I'll say that.
Holy moly.
Randy, great show. Any other final parting thoughts here?
The only thing that I'm really looking at this week, and again, going back to survivor picks, I have the Seattle Seahawks this week as my survivor. I think, again, I haven't taken them, and they are playing in the 12th man up there in Seattle. I think a little forecast for rain, I believe.
No, when is it not raining?
Huh?
When is it not raining?
Well, true. So I'm not sure who's at quarterback. Is it Dobbs again this week?
Yeah, it will be.
Okay. So that Seahawk defense, ooh, look out. Again, this is another game that shocked me at 44 because I was thinking maybe 41-42.
Okay.
And I had it 24-10 Seahawks, so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Well, Randy Wyke on the Seattle Seahawks, as I'm sure many of you will be, for those of you playing in these ever so fun survivor pools. At this point in the season, lots of favorites have probably already been gobbled up, and you're starting to scratch and wonder, maybe I'm going to have to start looking at some teams that might be on the road, might be a short favorite. However it goes, good luck this week. You like what we hear? like what we talk about here, don't forget to smash that subscribe button down at the very bottom. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's free.
We're always free
Hit that
here.
button. Hit that red button. Join us every week.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for listening to the Bookie and the Bettor Show. New episodes post every Thursday on your favorite streaming service.